Welcome to Making It Artisan Stories. We're here with photographer Veronica Lufbery. Hi, Veronica. It's nice to have you here at WPAA. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been into photography since I was very young, and I live in East Hartford, but I do a lot of things, a lot of activities in Wallingford.
The Lufbery name is known here in Wallingford.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons, because of the Lufbery family, so I've been in Wallingford a lot. And I've been here for over 20 years now, including the Wallingford Camera Club and other activities in town.
How did you get into photography?
So I got into photography because at a very young age, my grandfather gave us cameras because he was a photographer, and he actually owned a camera store with a partner at one time. And so he gave us the cameras, which were 126s, very old. And then it just grew on me, and when I became a senior in high school, what I wanted for graduation was a 35mm camera. That's when all the trouble began. I actually took a course in high school that was physical science that was about the color spectrum, which also got me into the history of photography. That kind of pushed me towards all of that. And then when I got out a few years after high school, I went to North Carolina, where I started crafting my own greeting cards, and I worked where there were a lot of women, some men, but a lot of women who were more than glad to be able to come to my desk and purchase a greeting card. So that was neat. It grew on me, and then I moved back home, and I've been very involved with Wallingford Camera Club, still as a hobby, and just love the arts and promoting the photography, promoting art, promoting creativity, getting outside the box thinking, forward thinking, all of that kind of thing.
Have you taken courses for the photography?
I have. I've taken, it's either 3 or 4 black and white courses, a couple at Tunxus. That black and white coursework was very important because it really did make a difference on being able to see what I need to see for composition. I'm still growing on that. Never goes away. But that way you can see what those colors are as far as texture, the designs, the different composition. Because if you can't see what you need to in a black and white, if the picture can't be a good picture in black and white, then it's not going to be good in color. Because all you're going to see is the colors. That's not what it's about. It's the composition and all that goes on behind it.
This is very true, and you have quite a few pictures here that are really stunning, and I think that possibly people here in Wallingford will recognize the clock tower being in front of Town Hall, and it's just gorgeous. What are those flowers that you have around it?
Those flowers are actually azaleas, and it was done with a special app on the phone. Those azaleas were actually in New Britain at a hospital outside the front door that I combined the 2 pictures together. It just made the picture pop, as we say. I love it, and everybody loves it. As my brother said, the flowers brings out the other colors of the blue and different things in the clock. That's an app on my phone that somebody showed me how to use.
So what do you use to take your photos? Do you take film, or do you take digital, or a combination?
Do have film at home, but I don't take it anymore. I use a digital camera that's a 35mm. It's a Canon. We have those fights over which brand is best. Doesn't matter to me. This is the second or third one that I've had. I do use the phone, but I use the phone more for, years ago you would have a throwaway camera with you to take pictures of an accident or pictures that you were out and about, didn't have the camera with you. My grandfather actually did that. So the phone is for that purpose. And then if I really think it's a good place to go back, I'll come back and I'll use my regular camera, or as we call it, the big girl and big boy camera. That's not my name. It's been out there.
So besides having a camera store, your grandfather also was an avid photographer.
Yes.
And did he take you along when you were young to go on jaunts and take pictures?
Actually, no, he did photography when my mom was young. He certainly helped me and was really glad when I started to understand different things about the range and the focusing and the different ways to use a camera, which was a manual camera in those days.
It's a lot more difficult to take pictures back then.
Yeah, and he was really happy when he started seeing pictures that were improving.
What's your favorite aspect of being a photographer? What's the most fun part for you?
Going out and taking the pictures, just finding a place to look around and or maybe imagining what I can do with it while I'm there. I love the South Glastonbury barns, or any barns, but South Glastonbury it's nearby for some areas, and trees. I can see what I want to do with it. Not always, but sometimes. Reflections and barns, and part of it is that I probably can picture the picture before I'm even realizing it, and so I put it together. I mean, that picture of the clock, I didn't know I was going to come up with that. I was just taking a picture of the clock that day, but I knew it was something I could do something with. I just didn't know what at the time.
Yeah.
I really love the abstract. For my pictures, if people can't see what it is still, then
Too abstract. Yeah.
doesn't work.
New England is a bit more traditional in its tastes.
Yeah. So I stick with abstract, but you still can see it, and I enjoy it.
That one that's up there, the flowers, what kind of technique did you use on that?
That was actually a bunch of flowers from the garden that I put into water, put it into a container, put it in the freezer,
Oh,
and then took it out a few days later, let it thaw just a slight bit. That was how you got the little crystals to show.
so that's very interesting. It was a real life photo manipulation rather than something that you did digitally later on.
Yeah, and actually that picture is probably something that we talked about doing at the camera club. One of the guys that is no longer with us had taught us how to do and had suggested to, come up with that process. We did a bunch of water drops.
Like the one behind you?
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of water drops.
That one is really spectacular. Did you have to have a special setting or a special camera? It seems like normal phone wouldn't take that kind of picture.
The water drops are all the regular camera on a tripod. It was with a timer or a special macro light or different features that I didn't necessarily have, but we borrowed it or put it together.
So tell me more about the Wallingford Camera Club, and you've been active in it for how long?
Since 2006.
Been a while.
Yeah, I've been there quite a while and really enjoy it. It's a lot of camaraderie. We've also been trying to really grow and get the education part of photography involved, not just competition. We'd been doing competition for a while. We all got bored, and we just want to educate and help others to learn more about photography, whatever it is.
So about how many people are in the club?
So right now we have, I think it's 15 members.
So how often do you meet?
So we meet once a month on second Wednesday of the month. And you don't have to be a member to come to the meetings. It's more about if we compete, then that's when the membership gets included. A couple months ago we met at Hubbard Park. A different time we met at a park in Meriden that's near where Red Bridge is. A lot of us have been in the club for quite a few years, so we're friends. We're not just members of the club. We enjoy that friendship. We're trying to educate with like a mentor system, or we're throwing around a lot of different ideas, and it's based on who joins the club or who comes to the club in the future.
Do you have exhibitions?
We have had them over the years, a couple here and there. We actually had one at a realtor's location in Wallingford, and we've actually done one at Wallingford Library. And we've done some education nights at the Wallingford Library before all the stuff got locked up, starting to get that going a little bit, and then that stopped. Like we said, we're throwing a lot of ideas around.
Is there a membership fee to join? They were interested in becoming a member?
We do have a Facebook page for Wallingford Camera Club. there's an email.
And you share new techniques with each other. And
There was 3 of us that went to the conference in Amherst that's related to New England Camera Club, which we're a member of. There were some techniques that we learned there that we came home with.
Oh.
And we passed those along because those are important. I remember being at Hubbard Park and we were passing along the information to get pictures that night.
I wanted to ask you about commercial potential with photography. Like, what kinds of things could you potentially sell? You know, you've got here not only the prints themselves, the frames, but you've also got greeting cards and maybe just frameable kinds of items. Have you done any shows where you've sold anything?
I've done some library shows. I have sold some things at a nearby business in Wallingford. I have sold some items through, it was a United Way auction, a couple different years in a row. So I did sell some things that way quite a few times over the years.
Do you buy the frames? Do you make the frames?
These are bought.
With this one here, what is this technique? It produces these, incredible colors that you have here with this tree.
That was that color picture that I made into a black and white. And then I used Photoshop, probably Elements at the time, and inverted it to it's what's called an invert heat setting. Just what it does is it takes the heat in the mapping of the picture and shows it. If it was a person, you would see the heat map of a person. It's the same idea as the cold and the hot of the tree and the air around it. Yeah, it's a neat, I love that picture.
Yeah, it's really striking. This one behind me here, what kind of color process did you use with that?
It was a color slinky.
A slinky?
A slinky. Plastic color slinky.
Oh,
with a fake blue flower. In fact, that was at one of the conferences a few years ago. And nothing else but those 2 items together.
The shot came out beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah, that was at a conference. What they do is they would have what they would call dark room setups, but not the dark room like you might think.
Just dark and no light.
Black room. Maybe it was called black room. So it was dark, and they would have setups on each table, and they would have just different lighting, and they would help you out with what setting you might want on your camera and your flash or no flash, or what you could do if you didn't want to use flash, different things. And they'd have a lot of different setups. You could move them around and replace this with that, and yeah, so, and that's another abstract, even though I really didn't make an abstract.
I see you also have a lot of nature kind of shots. Do you set these up, or do you just happen across them in your journeys?
Butterfly is actually really old, and that was with a film camera, and that was just by accident. The iris was actually in my neighbor's next door yard with a regular camera. Do now have a greenhouse, and so sometimes I have something that I'm growing that I take pictures of. So there's things that I do grow on purpose. We had sunflowers last year that grew. There was one that grew 12.5 feet tall. I took a lot of pictures of that.
I think it adds to life to be able to capture little moments and then, really manipulate them to show them off to their best aspect and let others enjoy your moment, as well as you. When you talk about hopefully expanding your sales in the future, online at all?
I have a website, and I've actually built it myself. I have the links to the different places where the pictures are, because I do have them consigned different places. There's a couple people that have told me they look at the website just to refocus throughout the days. I love that. That's what I'm trying to do. That's the most important. It's not about sales. It's about getting something from these pictures that is important to the person seeing it.
Bringing beauty into the world. Yeah, making somebody's day a little bit brighter with a little touch of gorgeousness that you've brought them. And yeah, that's a very noble goal. The green on that drop there is just so tranquil, so calming and relaxing that I would actually be fantastic if you covered a wall with it, kind of thing, and make it the calm room. There's just so many different aspects here. I mean, you got a plane, you got barns, you got butterflies. The stairwell is very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about that one?
That stair was at Gillette Castle. It's the inner stairwell to the servants, which is not open to the public. My dad's family is related to people who were masons at Gillette Castle. So Gillette Castle is a special thing. But I went there that year with my grandson and my mom and took pictures, not with the cell phone, because you not with the camera, because you can't do that, but with the cell phone, and just love the picture because of the texture. And
Yeah, it's got a lot of texture.
yeah, it wasn't black and white. It started out being color.
It gives it a real old-time kind of feeling. It's really gorgeous. And the train is really nice as well. How did you take that one?
That's actually at Essex Railroad.
Well, trains are a classic subject.
Yeah.
They really are. Yeah.
So I have to tell you about the airplane. The airplane was flying over the workplace back in 2018 when they had the 100-year celebration of D-Day.
Oh.
D-Day? This was flying over, and we knew about it because we had access to the information.
Mm-hmm.
We had an app on the phone that let us know where the planes were ahead of time, and I had everything set up by the time that it was flying overhead. I was absolutely thrilled that I could do that. It was just really exciting.
Yeah, that's a great shot of an airplane. It looks like you were just 20 or 30 feet underneath of it. And this one here with the lighthouse?
That lighthouse is in California. It's called Point Reyes. It's outside of San Francisco. I was there for a wedding. Family members took me up the mountains. That was actually very high up.
A really gorgeous shot. The composition on that is really, really nice.
So that's not a true reflection. That was a
Seems like-
manipulation
Yeah.
in the software.
It's just two of them. Almost looks like a piece of agate in the middle. Yeah, and then you have the one over here.
Santa was driving around in a grocery store plaza, and I asked him if I could take his picture. And he said, "Do you know that nobody has asked me that?" And I said, "So do you want a copy of it? Is it okay if I use it for more than just personal?" And he said, "Yeah, that's fine." And then somebody said, "Add ho, ho, ho. Don't just do the Santa and slant him."
Put a little red nose on the front, you're all set. Well, there's the little red thing on the front, so.
On the front of his car.
Is there anything you'd like to say to people who might be thinking about starting to getting into photography? Any tips that you might give them? Any advice?
Don't give up and follow your dreams. And you don't know unless you try it. Gotta jump in with both feet and take a chance. Learn whatever you can. You know, every day is something new to learn. That includes with photography.
Yeah.
I've had people like Ansel Adams that I've absolutely loved, but I like to do a lot of hands-on.
It's more a little of a visual kind of thing.
Yeah. But some people are very much into learning it from the book and then going and using it. And whatever way a person learns, that's fine. That's good. Just keep trying.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about you and your photography?
I just really enjoy it, and I'm thrilled that I'm here tonight and that this happened by chance, and who knows what comes next.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for coming here today and sharing these beautiful photos with us and your experiences. And I hope that you have continued success with your cards and your prints. And hopefully we'll see you around town in various spots with your photos. And thank you so much. And thank you for joining us here at WPAA's Making It Artisan Stories. Thank you, and see you next time.